Ganesh. Two heads and a tail, Yang Yin. Two tails, one head, Yang Yang. One tail, two heads, Yang Yin. Two heads, one tail, Yang Yin. Three tails, Old Yin. Three heads, Old Yang. a quick passage from the Book of Balance and Harmony. These essays, conversations, poetry, and songs about the secrets of Taoism teach how to live a centered and orderly life. The inner design of essence. When the two modes first differentiate, they distinguish three poles. Heaven is focused on directness. Earth opens and closes. Between heaven and earth, the door of the mysterious female. In its movement is increasing outflow. In its stillness, increasing penetration. The accurate transmission of the guiding basis of Tao points the way to the ultimate. Sense goes with the body. Essence goes with the mind. Energy fosters awareness. Vitality nurtures life. In eliciting knowledge by investigating phenomena, there are typically constants. On entering sagehood, transcending the ordinary, there are no longer ranks. Developed people live in the midst of change, awaiting the direction of life. Inwardly aware, unafflicted, what worry is there? Effecting function, promoting illumination, is the mechanism of enlivening freedom and killing slavery to compulsion. Remembering the ultimate end of the body, volatility and aggression disappear. Turning the attention around, you see through the dream body and directly throw over the raft of ancient books. Polish the light, remove accretions, dissolve accumulated burdens, clarify the mind. Be free of addictive habituation. Submerge the mind in the subtle. Sense and penetrate. You will drink an endless river in a single gulp. No need to refine the essence of gold in the crucible of heaven, or cook jade broth on the stove of earth. On passing through, penetrating, before the creation of symbols, the world, when taken in, lies hidden in a tiny grain. The firing process. If you want to reach the mystery of mysteries, you need to be careful when alone. The mechanism of the work is in the eye. Cut off the dust of form, and you will be impeccable. The clear, open heart will shine like jade. Bring about utter emptiness. Keep stillness steady. Within stillness, a moving yang of creative energy returns. At the first yang, the hidden dragon should be under control. Then, when you get to seeing the dragon, do not be hasty. As soon as you experience working hard, light illumines within. When sometimes leaping in the abyss, then bathe. At the fifth yang, the flying dragon effects evolution and development. Then when yang peaks, yin arises, necessitating withdrawal, preventing insidious inroads. At the first yin of earth, withdraw to where sense joins essence. At the third yin, it won't do to glorify with emolument. After closing the bag, the spiritual elixir is ripe. If you meet with battle in the field, set your will on locking up tight. When the mundane is stripped away and the celestial is pure, then the firing is sufficient. A tiny pearl is swallowed into the belly, producing a complete real member of the immortals. Yin and yang are always in harmony, their combinations proportionate in accordance with the time. Essence and sense live together. Conscious knowledge and real knowledge spontaneously join. Having finished making space into an unconstructed abode, this host is truly no ordinary worldling. The mountain crags hiding the clouds, heaven and earth are clear. The shining light of the moon illumines the open valley. Our first trigram on our primary hexagram was broken, solid, broken, which is Kan, water. Kan is deep water, flowing and formless. He is the complement of Li, dark where Li is bright. Li is fire and light. Unconscious to her sharp lucidity, and represents a more fluid, intuitive, and emotional way of perceiving. This is danger, exposure and solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted by the haunting unknown. Water is the middle sun, situated in the north, associated with midwinter and midnight. And then our outer or top trigram will be we'll read it as broken, broken, solid. That's Jen, mountain. So our first hexagram will be mountain over water. Jen, mountain. The mountain is still. It is a limit where you must stop. Jen brings each cycle to an end, defining a space where we can recognize, assimilate, and complete our experience. He creates a personal still center amid change, where we can retreat for perspective and a firm foundation for new growth. He is well-grounded, confident, and of independent spirit. He is still and knows. Mountain is the youngest son, child of maturity. In the cycle of directions and seasons, he is the northeast, late winter approaching spring, the pivot between cycles. Once our top or outer trigram transforms, we will read it as broken, solid, broken, which again would be Kan. So our next hexagram, our supporting hexagram, will be water over water, water over water. So we will start by reading in I-ming's Taoist I Ching, written in 1796. He was a Taoist adept, and it's been translated by Thomas Cleary. Oh, let's also figure out which hexagrams we have. Our first hexagram will be 4, and then our supporting hexagram will be 29. Four is darkness, starting yin convergence, making unruly yin submit, integrating with the world yet preventing mundanity from taking over. Negatively, it represents obscurity, unknowing. Positively, it represents innocence. Also represents stopping in danger. Mastering Pitfalls. One of the 4 timeless hexagrams, restoring the celestial within the mundane. We'll start reading our primary hexagram, but first get a handle on how to understand the question we bring to the I Ching, which has the general context of how can I act in creative relation with the spirits or forces shaping this moment of time. The way the answer works, and how the hexagrams and changing lines relate to each other. The key to understanding a reading is to know your way around its main components, how they fit together, and the different roles they play. If your reading includes changing lines, then you will need to understand primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines together. The two hexagrams in conversation with one another map out your whole answer. The primary hexagram shows you quite directly what your answer involves. The relating hexagram generally describes what the answer is about for you. It sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, an influence, a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. If the two hexagrams map out a landscape for you, then the changing lines stick a pin in that map to say you are here. Or at least, here are some places you may find yourself. They are the immediate answer to your question. As the most specific, focused part of a reading, their message always takes precedence over all other elements. For example, the primary hexagram might describe a reassuringly secure situation, but a changing line could warn how insecure your position is within it. Hexagram 4, darkness. In darkness is development. It is not that I seek naive innocence. Naive innocence seeks me. The first augury informs. The second and third defile. Defilement does not inform. It is beneficial to be correct. Explanation. Darkness means obscurity and unknowing. In the body of the hexagram, mountain is above, with two yin advancing under one yang. Water is below, with one yang fallen between two yins. Both have forms of yin injuring yang. Therefore it is called darkness. As for the qualities of the hexagram, danger is within stillness. There is danger, yet ability to stop. This includes the meaning of stopping darkness. This hexagram represents starting the operation of yin convergence. The hexagram follows on the previous hexagram, earth. Earth means going on the path of submission and receptivity. Carrying out yin convergence means returning recalcitrant yin to submission. After the primordial yang in people culminates, conditioned yin arises. The original spirit is obscured, and discriminatory awareness does things. One drops the real and recognizes the false, using intellect mistakenly, producing all sorts of cleverness. Though overtly there is light, inside is really dark. This is where darkness comes from. Once you have entered darkness, essence is disturbed and life is destabilized. In a single day, you are born 1,000 times and die 10,000 times, not knowing how to stop. This is most perilous. If you know there is danger and are able to stop it, silencing the intellect, being as though ignorant and dumb, though you be without knowledge outwardly, inwardly you really have knowledge. From false darkness you return to true darkness. Thus it is that in darkness there is paradoxically a way of development. The best development of darkness is innocence. The darkness of innocence unconsciously follows the laws of God, tranquil and unstirring, yet sensitive and effective. All actions flow from the fundamental essence. This is the dignified status of a sage, the aspect of the celestial human. Those who travel the path of darkness must go back to the darkness of innocence. Only then is it the darkness that is returning to the origin. However, this darkness of return to the origin is not a matter of seeking naive innocence oneself. It is naive innocence that seeks oneself. Not seeking innocence oneself means that it does not come about by formal effort and is not attached to forms. Innocence seeking oneself means that it comes naturally and does not fall into voidness. Not clinging to forms, not falling into voidness, not material, not empty, since it is not a matter of seeking the real, one does not exclude the artificial either. Ever calm, yet always responsive yet ever calm. It is not darkness yet resembles darkness. It is darkness but actually not darkness. External things cannot enter inside. Thoughts cannot arise. One does not seek reality, but reality is here. This path that is neither form nor void has two methods, nurturing darkness and opening darkness, which should be known. When yin and yang are mixed, and natural reality has not yet been injured, and external influences have not yet entered, darkness belongs to reality. It is like a first augury, when the yarrow sticks are not yet divided, surely giving direction at first. One should be open, calm, sincere, and serious, thereby going on the path of non-contrivance. Once yin and yang have divided, there is a lack of natural reality. External influences creep in, and darkness winds up in falsehood. It is like when the yarrow sticks are messed up after 2 or 3 auguries. Without awaiting their directions, one may change arrangements, thus going on the path of striving. The path of non-contrivance nurtures the darkness of reality. The path of striving transforms the darkness of falsehood. Nurturing reality, transforming falsehood, striving and non-striving are to be used according to the time and situation as appropriate. One may proceed from striving and wind up non-striving, or one may succeed in striving by way of non-striving. In either case, the ultimate accomplishment is to use the highest good, without evil, wholly integrated with natural principle, to go back to the origin, return to the fundamental, and revert to innocence. Those who travel the path of darkness must do so in the correct way. Hexagram 29R, supporting hexagram, mastering pitfalls, double pitfall. In mastering pitfalls, there is truthfulness. Thus the mind develops. There is excellence in practice. Explanation. Pitfalls means danger, as of a precipice or pitfall. Mastering pitfalls means getting through danger. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is water, dangerous, and below is water, dangerous, going from one danger to another, yet able to go through successfully in spite of danger. It is therefore called mastering pitfalls. This hexagram represents the presence of white within black, restoring yang within yin. It follows on the previous hexagram, nourishment. Nourish means seeking fulfillment by emptiness, seeking the true yang that has fallen in a pit. In human beings, after heaven and earth interact, the one point of original yang runs to the palace of earth. Earth is filled in and becomes water, and heaven changes into fire. At this point, yin traps the yang, the celestial root is obscured, and the mind gets involved with things. Though near to reality by nature, people become estranged from it by habit, descending lower and lower by daily repetition of habit. They fall into a state of ignorant obstinacy and do not know how to stop. However, if one practices evil, one becomes evil. If one practices good, one becomes good. It is simply a matter of how people habitually act. Practice of evil is a way into danger. Practice of good is a way out of danger. Getting out of danger requires that one believe it is dangerous. Belief rules the mind. If one can believe in the danger, then one will not be seduced by external things. Practicing good, one can then be good. As it is said, once you reform, it is the same as if you were originally thus. Therefore, in mastering pitfalls, there is truthfulness. Thus the mind develops. If there is truthfulness, then the mind develops. Without truthfulness, the mind does not develop. The mind with truthfulness is the mind of Tao. When the mind of Tao becomes manifest, the human mentality does not arise. Sane energy grows, aberrant energy recedes, and one can thus go in and out of yin and yang without being constrained by yin and yang. But believing there is danger requires one to practice so as to get out of danger. Believing but not practicing is like not believing. Once one can believe and can practice without hypocrisy or deception, practicing truly, one improves daily with daily practice, rising from lowliness to loftiness, gradually learning a state of exalted illumination, developing one's nature to the fullest extent and realizing one's purpose in life, returning to the fundamental without difficulty. Therefore, the text says, there is excellence in practice. If one practices this, one can rise. Without practice, one does not rise. Knowing this is only valuable when one puts it into practice. We have changing lines 5 and 6 that we'll read for Hexagram 4. They will have the general context of line 5 will have the general context of strength and self-determination, clear vision, being in command. And then line 6 will have the general context of beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. Changing line 5 of Hexagram 4, darkness. Stuck in darkness, there is regret. Oh, sorry, that's line 4. Changing line 5. Innocence is auspicious. Explanation. In stopping, knowing when and where to stop, being incapable, so following the capable, using firmness to balance flexibility, borrowing strength to compensate for weakness. Though dark, this is not darkness. This is the auspicious path of innocence, unconsciously following the laws of God. This is darkness aware of its darkness. Line 6. Attacking darkness. What is not helpful is inimical. What is helpful prevents enmity. Explanation. Firmness at the culmination of darkness is ability to control anger and desire and to powerfully repel external influences. This is like attacking darkness. On the path of withdrawing yin, the human mentality is not helpful, so it is inimical. It is the mind of Tao which is helpful, defending against what is inimical. If one removes the human mentality, activates the mind of Tao, negative energy recedes and positive energy becomes pure and complete. Then you again see what you were originally like. This is darkness ultimately being able to not be dark. Looking over the 6 lines of darkness, there is a great difference between real and false. When the real is used and the false removed, nurturing the one and repelling the other, doing what is appropriate in each case, then the path of yin convergence is consummated. Out of the back we have further commentary by I-ming with his beautiful Taoist perspective, keeping in mind that our changing lines were the most specific point for our answer. We will still take in this beautiful, spiritual, deep commentary. Darkness, Hexagram 4, mountain above, water below. Under a mountain, a spring is produced in darkness. A superior person nurtures character with fruitful action. Darkness means developmental nurturance without intellectualism. Above is mountain, below is water. Here, water is referred to as a spring and not water, because the spring under the mountain is water. When a spring is produced under a mountain, the spring is nurtured by the mountain, being water with a basis, flowing far from a deep source, going through without hindrance. This is the image of darkness. What superior people see in this is that when those who practice the Tao want to exercise virtue outwardly, first they must develop character inwardly. If one acts without development, the action will have no basis. Without inner mastery, action will injure character. This is the reason for emulating a spring emerging from a mountain, acting fruitfully without obstruction, taking as a model the mountain nurturing the spring, nurturing character with caring warmth. The yang in the center of water refers to what is produced by celestial unity, the original generative energy that gives birth to beings. This is what is called the celestial virtue or power. This virtue is hidden in the temporal. Since ordinary people follow temporally acquired conditioning and abandon the primordial, most do not know how to develop, nurture, cultivate, and sustain this primal virtue, so as a result they gradually dissipate it and harm their own essence in life. Those who awaken to this set aside acquired conditioning to practice inner development and outward action, using development to perfect action, using action to test development. Cultivating both inside and outside, nurturing character is developmental, and acting on it is developmental as well. Nurturing character means no worthy quality is left undeveloped. Fruitful action demands that every act be fruitful. Nurturance of character demands that it be nurtured until it is stable as a mountain. Only then is development complete. Fruitful action demands that it be effective as a spring flowing day and night. Only then is fruition complete. Action fruitful, character developed, one completes one's nature and understands the meaning of life, integrated with the celestial design, unconsciously following the laws of God. This is why darkness is valued. Double water. Water above, water below. Water travels, double water. Thus do superior people consistently practice virtue and learn how to teach. Double water means water reaching from here to there. Above is water, below is water. This is water traveling from here to there, from there to here, traveling, flowing throughout. This is the image of double water. What superior people see in this is that the work of sages is twofold, involving both self-development and development of others. Self-development is the practice of virtue. Development of others is teaching. If virtuous practice is inconsistent, it is hard to enter the universal Tao. If teaching is not learned, students will not understand. Therefore, they work on virtuous practice day by day and month by month, becoming familiar with the old and aware of the new, increasing their efforts as time goes on, aiming for profound attainment of self-realization. Then when it comes to teaching, they gradually develop guidance, making clear presentations and subtle indications, leading students further and further on until they penetrate thoroughly and are free from doubt. The practice of virtue is the study of body and mind, nature and life. It is a very refined and subtle science in which the slightest deviation can produce an enormous loss. It can be accomplished only by constancy and consistency, thoroughly investigating its principles, fulfilling nature and arriving at the meaning of life. Teaching is a matter of receiving from forebears and educating successors. It is very urgent and necessary. If instruction is unclear, people will be misled as to the course they should pursue. One can develop others only if one learns how to teach, which involves searching out the profound and the recondite and clarifying that which is obscure. The work of teaching is based on the practice of virtue. Teaching means teaching the practice of virtue. Only if one is consistent and constant in the practice of virtue can one learn and practice teaching. If one cannot be consistent in the practice of virtue, then teaching will be baseless and unguided. When one is consistent in the practice of virtue and afterward learns how to teach, then what is consistent and constant in oneself is what is learned by others. This is like water traveling from here to there. It is all the same water, able to flow everywhere. Hexagram 4, not knowing. Key questions. What don't you know? What if you didn't need to know all the answers now? How can you learn from experience? Oracle. Not knowing, creating success. I do not seek the young ignoramus seeks me. The first consultation speaks clearly. The second and third pollute the waters. Polluted and hence not speaking. Constancy bears fruit. Not knowing literally means being covered over, like a young animal hidden away in the undergrowth by its mother. So you are ignorant and cannot see as far as you would like to. But this is not such a terrible thing while you are still so small. To be small and ignorant is a creative, harmonious way to engage with your world. And holding steadily to not knowing, and hence to learning, you will bring good results. But this flow from creating success to constancy bears fruit is interrupted when the young ignoramus goes running after answers, as if it were embarrassing not to know. In his anxious persistence, he shows a profound disrespect for his teacher and also for the answer he is seeking that he imagines can be had so quickly. So the I who speaks here gives one clear answer, and then may refuse to answer. Or perhaps there is just such confusion that no answers can be understood. That speaker can be another person you're asking for a response you need. It can also be the oracle itself, or what speaks through it. Image. Below the mountain, spring water comes forth, not knowing. A noble one nourishes character with the fruits of action. The pure spring rises under the shelter of the mountain. It doesn't know where it's going, yet its flow becomes steadily deeper and stronger. In the same way, a noble one nurtures personal character and strength with the fruits of going forward and taking action. Learning comes from experience, not in the form of ready-made answers. Sequence. Not knowing follows from hexagram 3, sprouting. Things that are newly born must needs be ignorant, and so not knowing follows. Not knowing means ignorance and the youth of things. You are at an early stage of development, like an infant just beginning to toddle out into the wider world. Suddenly you find yourself ignorant. The world is a much less orderly place than it appeared from the cradle. So if you have a confused sense of losing your center, this is a sign that you're seeing the real world more clearly than before. Hexagram 29, repeating chasms. Key questions. What are you sure of in your heart when nothing else is sure? How can you flow on and through the dark? Oracle. Repeating chasms. There is truth and confidence. Holding your heart fast creates success. Movement brings honor. These are pits where you fall into the deep, dark waters, flowing on into the swirling, unknowable dark. The chasms repeat. There is no detour that would take you round them, so you must practice and learn the way of these deep places. First, there must be truth and confidence. Truth to the present moment, because this is simply how it is, and trust in your inner knowing, so you can be unreservedly present, with an unshakable grasp on the essential core. In these deep waters, there is nothing solid out there to hold on to. No external security, no way to orient yourself, and so you hold fast to your heart. This is a way to create success, staying in communication with creative source, even in the chasm. In movement, you find a different kind of security, one that depends on your heart, courage, and commitment. This is the truest test of your convictions, when you have no way of knowing where your leaps of faith might land. Sitting in the bottom of the chasm does not bring honor. Action does. Also, it's a way to be sure of yourself as an individual after everything else has fallen away. You act, and you become skilled in flowing through the steep-sided chasms. Image. Waters flow on and reach the end, repeating chasms. A noble one acts with constant character and teaches things by repeating. Many small tributaries flow together to create a broad river. Many small commitments flow together to create a powerful character. A noble one understands that just one extraordinary leap of faith is not enough. By acting consistently, he creates a continuity of principles that people can depend on when all else is in flux. Such repetition is a way of conveying a message to others, and sometimes also of convincing and changing yourself as you learn more skillful ways of thinking. This is like the water. It carves out a course and creates its own momentum. Sequence. Repeating chasms follow from hexagram 28, great exceeding. Things cannot end with excess, and so the chasm follows. The chasm means falling. In hexagram 28, the house's ridgepole was buckling. Now it has given way. You overburdened or simply outgrew the external framework that supported you, and now you are falling. Pair. Repeating chasms are paired and contrasted with hexagram 30, clarity. Clarity is above, the chasm is below. These are natural opposites, above and below, fire and water, light and dark, waking and dreaming. Yet together they create a single landscape. Chinese tradition says that after its journey across the sky, the sun is bathed in the river at the foot of the leaning mulberry tree. The sun itself needs to repeat the chasm. Changing lines 5 and 6 of hexagram 4, not knowing. Changing line 5, which has the general context again of strength and self-determination, clear vision, being in command. And then line 6 will have the general context of beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. Changing line 5. Young ignoramus, good fortune. The oracle identifies the young ignoramus as the one who seeks answers. He enjoys good fortune because of his youthful, energetic constancy and because there is nothing to impede the flow of his learning. He owns no stockpile of ready-made answers and has no preconceptions between him and the truth. Line 6. Striking the ignoramus, fruitless to act like an enemy, fruitful to resist enmity. You are striking out at ignorance, your own or someone else's. This might work for the Zen master who clouts his students to wake them up, but not as an attack that makes the ignoramus the enemy. If you are attacking another person, you will injure your way of communication. If you are being self-critical and applying self-discipline, then you are dividing yourself into two opposing forces and becoming your own enemy. You may well feel impatient and frustrated with not knowing, and strongly motivated to do something about it. That can bear fruit, but not if you act in a small-minded, reactive way. Only if you bear the learner's full potential in mind and actively protect him from hostility and isolation. '79 out of the Tao Te Ching. After a bitter quarrel, some resentment must remain. What can one do about it? Therefore the sage keeps his half of the bargain, but does not exact his due. A man of virtue performs his part, but a man without virtue requires others to fulfill their obligations. The Tao of heaven is impartial. It stays with good men all the time. And one more. '50. Between birth and death, between birth and death, 3 in 10 are followers of life. 3 in 10 are followers of death. And men just passing from birth to death also number 3 in 10. Why is this so? Because they live their lives on the gross level. He who knows how to live can walk abroad without fear of rhinoceros or tiger. He will not be wounded in battle. For in him rhinoceroses can find no place to thrust their horn, tigers no place to use their claws, and weapons no place to pierce. Why is this? Why is this so? Because he has no place for death to enter.